channel. Now, good evening to you. Typically don't live stream or podcast in the evening time, but the revolution will be televised. So Kamala Harris, whatever you want to call her, she basically gave us an October surprise because she sat down and somehow, I believe it was by force, had to sit down with the Fox News, the conservative Fox News, for an interview with a professional journalist in Bret Baier. You know, he's going to come with the hard questions. He's not going to hold any shorts. I watched a little bit of it, but I decided to go ahead and live stream and let's do and watch this together because a lot of us are really not paying attention and we don't know what's going on. So based on the Fox News poll, which could be biased, in September, Harris was beating Trump by 2 points. Right now, as it stands, Trump is actually ahead of Harris. And if you didn't know, when she was, when he was against Biden, he never led Biden by any stretch of the magnitude. He never led Hillary. And it was a close race with Biden, and with Hillary, he actually defeated her. So these polls could be subjective, and they're somehow 3% margin of error. So she did an interview with Bret Baier, and I'm going to go ahead and play and give some commentary as we go along because she instantly regretted it. And I guarantee you, based on her polling numbers and based on the individuals who are investing in her and the individuals who are who see the polls, how they put her out there, and she took the challenge and she instantly regretted it because Bret Baier is a professional journalist. He's not Charlemagne the God. This is not no podcast. And let's go ahead and watch this together and see what goes on.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries.
Illegal immigrants from 150 countries.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
A direct question.
I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have, and you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett,
Answer the question, Kamala.
Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of
I'm
apprehensions.
not finished. We have.
This is out the gate.
6 million
This is gonna be good.
Released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy, released from custody, awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes.
Okay, what you got?
So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate
Look at her face.
Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath,
Wow.
the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation
We got
Reduction Act,
26 minutes of
before
this.
the Chips and Science Act, before the Biden Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically with hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Wow.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
Out the gate.
But
You have to let me finish,
you had the
please.
White House...
He not trying to hear that.
Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you a way to potentially make money.
So we're looking at the interview. A little ad popped up, but he asked her a question out the gate, and it's only 2 minutes and 26 seconds in, and she's already struggling, and it's going to get worse. So when I say the October surprise, I wouldn't have thought in a million years that she would actually agree to an interview with Fox News, one of the most conservative networks in the world, if not the United States. But somehow she decided to take on the challenge, and I believe it's backfiring already. So check this out.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American
He asked a
people.
question about immigration.
And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And
Been there
from
3
day
years.
one then, we have done a number of things,
Mm-hmm.
including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with
What did you
points
do?
of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a
This is not going
bipartisan
well.
effort, including some of the most
This is not going
conservative
well.
members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every
Under your
geographic
administration.
location in our country, killing people.
Mm-hmm.
It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done.
Yes, ma'am.
As the
We all
Attorney
know that.
General, former Attorney General of
Talking
a border
point.
state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs.
He ain't trying to hear it.
And human beings. And
Six
Donald Trump,
Democrats.
but let me just finish.
Six
And
Democrats
Donald
voted
Trump
against that bill.
learned about that bill.
Wow.
And told them
It's not going to
kill
end
it
well.
because he preferred to run on a
This is going to go
problem
viral. I think this is the
instead of
October
fixing a
surprise.
problem. In this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what
We
they
want solutions.
Are solutions. And they want a
I already know our
president of the
talking
United
points.
States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused
Yeah.
on fixing
Six
it.
Democrats voted against that bill.
Okay.
It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants entry a year. A lot of
Even Cory
conservatives
Booker
have
went
voted.
against it.
These are the six Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise.
Come on.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley would not have been killed.
Wow.
So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before negotiation.
This series right
This is well
here.
before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country.
Look at
Sent to you. Do you owe
Brett,
those
I think it's
families
really- I think
an apology?
Do you owe those families an apology? Let's
First of
go.
all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should
Do you
not
owe
have
them an
occurred.
apology?
So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working.
This actual crime happened the first 6 months of their administration. She's talking about the policies about 9 months ago that Donald Trump blocked, but that had nothing to do with the question.
Working around the clock, trying to hold it all together
Madam Vice President.
to ensure
Look at him.
that no
Look at Brett.
future
Get her, Brett.
harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election. Because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let
Get her, Brett.
others talk about it. Take a listen.
Uh-oh.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States.
That's one of the
It was
moms.
Not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early
Fox News ain't playing.
So do you owe
Early
them
days. Look at her face.
apologies, what
I
I'm saying?
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss.
Exactly.
Sincerely. But let's talk about
Donald Trump.
what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions.
Donald Trump.
Let's talk about that
Wow.
as well.
But do you
Brett,
want to
in
answer?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful
This is why
for what she and her family have experienced.
she's
During that
losing
time,
in the
you
polls.
said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
Wow.
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration.
Blame everything on Donald Trump.
Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system.
You're the
I'm clear
border
on
czar.
that it needs to be fixed.
Fix
We
it.
need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you. And I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate, and you are a serious journalist.
Yes, he is.
They will tell you we need more.
Look at her
judges.
whining. She's squealing.
We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be processed.
If you didn't do it the last
They need
4
more
years,
resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
That's how the system
executive
works.
actions.
Question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the
90 plus executive orders that was rescinded.
first days. Many of
In
those
the
were
first days.
compromises. I'm not going to stay here because
Facts.
there's other things to talk about.
Not good.
We frequently talk to the Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did.
Watch
They
this.
supported it. Just endorsed Donald Trump and said,
Wow.
"You've been, quote, a failure with border security." Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated. I get it.
I
They
get
want support.
She better go to, I was born in the middle
Support, and that's
class.
what that border security bill would have done. These guys down
She's
at the border, these
squealing.
men and women, they're working hard.
A wet fish.
They're working around the clock. I get it.
You get
There's
it?
a lot of people that look back at what you said at
Wow.
2019 when you first ran for
Career suicide.
and there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's licenses.
Driver's licenses?
Qualify for free tuition. at
Free tuition?
universities, to be enrolled in free health care.
Free health care.
Still support those things?
Wow.
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement.
That
over
means
and over
yes.
again, and as Vice
I will
President of
follow
United
the law.
States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, who governor of Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
Do you support it?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz.
Follow the law.
We must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will
That's
do.
crazy.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in
I got you. You're welcome.
decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
No, but let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president
That
who has
prosecuted transnational.
transnational criminal organizations,
Talking.
from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant my career going after people who
You need to go
present a
back
threat
and
to the
prosecute
safety of the
because you're not
American
presidential. I'm sorry.
and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border
Look at
illegally.
Bret.
And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work.
You
quite
haven't done it.
seriously.
You've been there.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop.
Come on.
Because it's
Get her, Bret.
Many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump
What are you gonna
campaign
show?
has gotten a lot of attention.
Supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Whoa.
Surgery. For prisoners, every transgender
Surgery
in a prison
prisoners?
system would have access.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens transition to another gender?
Taxpayer dollars to have transgender surgeries for inmates. Wow.
Are you a real estate investor looking for deals? Then
Okay, here we go.
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
Wait. She says she will follow the. Basically, that means she will support it. That's crazy.
Probably familiar with, now it's a public report that under Donald Trump's administration,
Donald Trump down with
these,
that.
Surgeries were available on a medical
He wasn't down with that.
basis to people in the federal prison system. And I
Even
think
MAGA,
that
but he wasn't down with
the
that.
Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing
Fact check. Let's go.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for
Exactly.
that policy and no gender transition
Well, you know,
surgeries
you gotta
happened
take
during his
responsible for what happened in your
presidency.
administration.
Surgeries happened in his presidency.
She just said you got to take responsibility for what happened under your administration. So look at the pot calling the kettle black because she's not taking responsibility for the last 4 years.
So would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars?
Would you advocate? That's the question.
Follow the law, just as I
Her answer, I will follow the law, meaning I will advocate for it.
think Donald Trump would say he did.
Why is she bringing up Donald Trump?
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads.
And it's working.
A sense of fear in the voters because he
No, telling the truth on you. Uh-oh.
In this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas
The American people don't need to be paying taxpayer dollars to turn prisoners into transgenders.
at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again,
It's
his
working.
policy was no
She's
different.
perturbed.
Look at where we are, though.
They say
On
it's
plans for
different,
the
but let's
American
move
people,
on.
I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses. Which
Yeah,
is
right.
One of America's economy.
Yeah, right.
I'm offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents.
Yeah,
and
right.
Giving them the support they need. My plans for economy.
Come on,
to strengthen
Bret.
The economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates.
Who, what, where, when, why, and how.
Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy. This would make them weaker.
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people say-
inflation.
Hold up, hold up, hold up.
Recession by the middle of next
Get
year.
her, Bret.
These are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy?
And that's
than
fact.
They trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear
Who is
to
we?
those who study and understand how economic policy works that move forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page
No, we're not.
on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald
Nope.
Trump. People are ready to turn a way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future
Nope.
and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be again to give tax cut billionaires and the biggest
Tax cuts to
corporations in our
everybody.
country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on two
Watch
issues
this.
last week what, if anything, you would do for President Biden.
What would you do different from Biden?
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is nothing that comes time.
Wow.
I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had
We can't do 4 more years of this.
impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be?
Come
And
on.
what would stay the same?
Good question.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so.
Yeah, we know that.
One change in terms of, but also, I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So, you're not Joe Biden, you're
You're not Donald Trump, but who are you?
Nothing comes to mind.
Who are you?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
Yes, it will.
And like every new
Yes, it
president
will.
that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
No.
I, for example, am someone who has not spent the
She
majority of
hasn't.
my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing.
Yeah, right.
Addressing the issue
3
of
million
businesses,
houses.
which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital, access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
And for someone who understands real estate, if they're going to give $25,000 for a down payment for individuals purchasing homes, the realtors are going to basically take a $100,000 house and put it on the market for $125,000.
And for small businesses, extend the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days.
Come on,
Your campaign
a whole
says
lot.
there's a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years.
Good question.
What are you turning the page?
Question.
This is how we send gift cards and money at scale with Tremendous.
I got to get these commercials out of here.
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade.
Hold up.
In which
So she didn't even address the turning the page from her administration. She goes the last decade. So she's going to find a way to blame Donald Trump for what's going on right now. And we all know this is crazy.
we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
Wow.
And have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know.
The question was asked, turning a page. You want to take a path forward. You want to turn the page. What are you turning the page from? And she goes into Donald Trump and the MAGAs.
The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an
Come on,
American president
Bret.
is one who understands that the vast majority of us
He's sitting there
have
like,
more
she's
in common than what separates us.
this lady ignorant.
Turning the page,
70% of people.
that is about
70% of people, listen to this.
turning the page on rhetoric. People are frankly exhausted of Bret.
More than
People are
70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on track. They say the country is
Wow.
on the wrong track.
It is.
If it's on the wrong track,
Come on.
that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and
Whoa.
being president. That is
So this is the October surprise. Her campaign administration is over, and the only people that's going to vote for her are dumb liberals, dumb blacks, people that just really don't get it or understand. Because at the end of the day, for an American person, an American citizen, it's the economy, inflation, immigration, and in that order. And anybody that will consider voting for Kamala Harris is crazy, a fool, and is practicing insanity. Party over.
is what they're saying.
And it's coming from a black man.
79% of them.
79%.
That if you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5
Come
years.
on.
And Donald Trump.
Oh, Donald Trump.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
She's saying, come on, like, lighten up. He got her. So what I'm saying is party over. I mean,
You and I both know what I'm talking about.
no, we don't.
Both know what I'm
No, we don't.
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
Listen, come on now. It's kind of like being in a relationship with somebody. And you've been in a relationship or married to somebody new for the last 3-4 years. And then somebody asks you about why your life is not where you want it to be. And then you start blaming your exes decades ago. This is crazy. This is insanity. I don't know who's putting this lady up to do this. This is an October surprise. And for her to do an interview with Fox pretty much ended her campaign.
people have become.
Look at this fool.
Listen, over
Ignorant
the last
fool.
decade, it is clear to me, and certainly.
So about the last decade, and she's been vice president for the last 3.5, almost 4 years. This is insanity. She's playing with our intelligence. Okay, this is crazy.
Republicans who are on stage with me,
The
to the president Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve.
Okay.
That he is unstable. That he is dangerous.
And she rests the last 4 years.
With someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the
Madam Vice President.
People are tired of that.
If the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you? And a lot of
Whoa.
states, if
Why?
he's as bad as you say,
Come on.
that half
Get her,
of the
Bret.
country is now supporting this person who could be
The next president.
of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United
Hold on. Did she just turn into a little girl? This is the election, is it?
States. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be. It is not.
Wow.
supposed to be a
Are they
cakewalk for
misguided,
anyone.
the 50%?
Listen,
Are they
I'm-
stupid?
Oh
What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American
Okay,
people.
so-
And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within. An enemy within.
Is you and the Democrats.
Talking about the American people.
Yeah, the Democrats is the enemy from within. that want to destroy this country. And that's fact, and that's coming from a black man.
Suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Herman
Come on.
Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. We've been thinking of it.
34 felonies.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry. And
What I'm saying, this is pure ignorance, okay? We are American citizens, and the two-party system has to be, and the Democratic Party must go. And that's coming from a black man.
with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within.
The enemy from within is the Democratic demonic party, okay? If you hang in there with me, I'm going to show you why it's the enemy from within. So I'm going to let this play, and I got some content after this. Hang in there with me. I appreciate y'all.
he was asked
No,
that
no,
specific-
that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and
I'm
respect to
telling you, that was the
you,
question that we asked.
She's arguing with the moderator.
bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know.
But why is this about Donald Trump? This question was asked about you and your administration about where do you turn in the page from? And she's arguing with Bret Baier about rhetoric that Donald Trump says at his rallies.
And you both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him.
Wait a minute. She was the top cop in California. She locked up more people, more human beings than any elected official in the history of the world.
This is a democracy.
It's not a democracy. America is a constitutional republic, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. This is not a democracy. That's the Democrats ruled by the devil, period.
Democracy. The President of the United States, in the United States.
Look at her. Look at her. Look at her.
Should be willing to handle criticism.
Why is she screaming?
Lock people up for doing it. And this is
that's y'all president.
Stake,
look at her.
Why you have someone like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff
that he fired.
What Mark Milley
look at Bret Baier, like whatever.
About Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
No. He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way. Yes. Let me ask you this, President. You call Donald Trump.
You call
Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
So what are we looking at? Look at her. If he's unstable, look at this interview right here. This is the worst. This is.
He's not stable,
let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's
good question, Brett?
Appeared diminished?
Good question.
What if your smile could go from looking like this?
And she's listening. The reason why she blinks her eyes and does that, the Bluetooth earrings that she have on, those are, you can look it up. Those are Bluetooth earphones. And she's listening. You see the look on her face. She's listening to a response. So she has somebody on the other side, a staffer, more like an individual that more than likely would be her press secretary if she were to win, basically feeding her information from talking points. She.
I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room.
Listening.
And he has the judgment.
Joe Biden.
And the experience.
The experiment.
Exactly what he has done in making very important decisions.
Those are earphones.
Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
well,
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
George
is.
Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President.
Listen, have you guys ever in the history of your lives seen a interview with a presidential candidate sound like a podcast or some type of shit show on a radio station? This is odd. This is weird. This is strange. I've never seen anything like this. This is an individual, not some hood rat from the neighborhood. This is an individual that's supposed to be running for president of the United States, that's trying to get votes to be the executive in chief, the most powerful human being on the planet. And she sounds like she's at some trash podcast arguing and debating with a podcaster. And this is a professional, and Bret Baier, one of the best in the business, of all respect.
Biden at a fundraiser
Look at this.
This was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate
Donald
stage.
Trump is on the ballot.
And you met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why
Wow.
people who know him best,
Wow.
including
It's a
leaders of
wrap.
our national security
It's a wrap.
community,
She's
have
listening.
all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is.
This is more of a podcast about Donald Trump other than her trying to swing conservatives her way. This is the reason why she sat down with Bret Baier on Fox News to pretty much, communicate and try to get, non-deciding voters or conservatives, women, whatever, to pretty much swing them her way. But I guarantee you, it's blowing up in her face.
Unfit.
Look at this.
And dangerous, and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why
They
the
telling
door
her to
is
say that.
open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is
So it's a fact. Okay.
Madam Vice President, 2 more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands.
The Biden administration freed up $6 billion for Iran to do what they're doing to fund Hamas and fund the war right now.
Okay, this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration?
Come on,
and
Brett.
say you're not acting like Iran is the number one threat?
Well,
You see her? She's listening. You see how she's listening. Those are Bluetooth earphones, earpods that she's listening to, because why does she wear those pearl earrings anytime that she does an interview? She wore them on the debate. It went viral. She's sitting there listening. Look at her face. She's listening, and she's going to say what somebody's on the other end is going to basically tell her to say in her ear, because clearly she cannot have a cohesive conversation of any intelligence when it comes to being an individual that's running for the executive chief for one of the most powerful nations in the world.
I will tell you,
She
most
listening.
recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack,
And like I said,
working with the heads of our military.
woe unto
doing
y'all
what
voting for
America
her.
must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to
Look at Bret
allow
Baier like, yeah,
Israel
right.
to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including
They
from
telling her to
Iran
say that in
and
her ear.
Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
Right.
is,
Proxies were getting
and
funded
my
by Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding.
He basically said
Would you
it.
be interested in collecting?
Those proxies was funded by Iran, and and if he's good, he's going to basically bring up the fact that we funded and released $6 billion for Iran.
And unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal.
Look, he said, hold up. He's trying to basically break it down. And look at this ignorant female, okay? Look at this ignorant female. He asked her a specific question, and somehow that name Donald Trump keeps popping up. So say this is Trump deranged syndrome. This is crazy, but let's finish this out.
That would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions
it was during Donald Trump's
that go
administration
towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches. Not to mention how Donald Trump
Madam Vice President,
and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers, has diminished the significance.
Over each other. I apologize.
but this is crazy. This is ignorant. This sounds like Jerry Springer. That's crazy. You hear this? This is crazy.
I wish that we would have a conversation that is grounded in
Donald Trump.
Full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this video is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision
and there are critics
that they feel.
who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, the round part here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things that people want to learn about
you exactly.
Policies.
But
I invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have.
We want to hear it out your mouth.
Pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do.
And that's why we invited you.
And that's why
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military, and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
and
they're giving me a hard rap.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
Wow, this was crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quick with it. This was a shit show. She never should have agreed to the interview with Fox News. She had an opportunity to talk to the American people, more importantly, conservative and Fox News viewers, to let them know who she is and what she stands for. But the whole time, it was just pretty much a podcast with a very low vibration and her just talking and saying whatever. So it is what it is. So, I see in the comments, that our only choices is, Harris and Trump, but we're, my organization, we're writing in our Jesus Christ, and it's a blackout. Black men are not supporting the Democratic Party. Black men are abandoning the ship, and we are not going to sink with it. And one of these measures, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you before you vote, look, we are screwed if that bedwench concubine right there gets in office. But listen, Proposition 3, I was at a meeting real quick with it. Proposition 3 on my ballot. Okay. And this is a measure that the Democrats support. Okay. Proposition 3 removes all rules for marriage and opening the door to child marriages, incest, polygamy. Think about that. Proposition 3 removes all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and this is a Democratic measure. This is why black men cannot support. This is crazy. The revolution will be televised. They're hiding these things in plain sight. And we really got to come together as American people. Go ahead and read the whole con. The Proposition 3 removes all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and polygamy. It changes California's constitution, even though same marriage is already legal. The reason why I'm reading this right now, because when she was the Attorney General in San Francisco, she was the first individual to do a same-sex marriage. That was in like 2008, 2009. Now, and all of a sudden in 2024, with her and her Democratic constituents, they somehow want to put on the ballot a constitutional change for marriage when it's already on the ballot. So basically what this is saying, that they want to remove rules for marriage, remove all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and polygamy. It changes California's constitution, even though same-sex marriage is already legal, by making moms and dads optional. It puts children at risk. This is careless. This is a careless measure, harms family in society. So no on Proposition 3. And we're sick of the Democrats. Party over. This is one of the October surprises. And at the end of the day, I would not. She was with the Diddy tapes. And it is disgusting. It's sad, sickening. And this is why we cannot be operating in a two-tier government, a two-party system, because the liberals have gone too far. The liberals have gone too far. And just like in the comments, Democrats equal demo. And the word demo in Spanish and Portuguese is demon, diablo, or devil. So krat in the Greek means to rule or rule by. So the Democrats are ruled by the devil. And we understand this. So based on this interview, I don't know who put her up to this. I think the individuals are burning the candle on both sides, and they literally want to embarrass her and make her look bad, because at the end of the day, I truly believe that Trump may even win the popular vote as well as the electoral college. And like I said, we're going to be writing in the third party option. I'm out of California. So no matter who we vote for, she's going to win. But we want to turn it purple because we're going to be writing in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I just gave you Proposition 3. I'm going to give you Proposition 6 real quick before I go. Let you know why black men are abandoning the party. Proposition 6 in California. Proposition 6 ends slavery in California and upholds human rights and dignity for everyone. And I'm reading this. This is where I'm reading this from. So we talking about marrying children, babies, dogs, or whatever. And this is why we got to vote no on 3. And then Proposition 6 ends slavery in California and upholds human rights and dignity for everyone. It replaces involuntary servitude and voluntary work programs. It has bipartisan support and aligns with the national effort to amend the 13th Amendment. So what I'm saying is freedom is on the ballot and our babies are on the ballot. So as a man who believes in God, I cannot support or be a part of a party that pretty much will be willing to remove all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and polygamy. And it's right here on the ballot. And that's crazy. So at the end of the day, since I got you here, God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge. And tomorrow I will be putting these all around the city of Los Angeles. Right in Jesus. Okay. And the individual told me, oh, that's a no vote. It's a no vote for hope, because we cannot support the Democratic Party, because if we Democrats were to vote in Kamala Harris and something catastrophic happened to this country, then that means we will be accountable for it. Okay. And this is why we can't. This is why we're jumping ship. This is why we turned on Obama. Okay. This is why we're doing what we need to do as human beings, because there needs to be just one race, and that's the human race. So there need to be a moral component of people who work together, who study the Constitution and use the Constitution for what it is. The Constitution says we the people. So we the people need to come together and do what we need to do to fix this nation and not rely on some demonic party, because the Democratic Party is pushing Proposition 3, which removes all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and polygamy. It changes the California Constitution, even though same-sex marriage is already legal. And the reason I put this here, it's already legal in California because she performed the first same-sex marriage. And the Democrats are behind this. And this is crazy. It's sick. So it's sick. So, oh my God, if you were voting Democrat, this is what I'm telling you to do. If you vote in MAGA, good luck. Do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, whoever wins this election, we nonpartisan independents who are declaring our freedom, who will be voting yes on Proposition 6 to end slavery in California so they could uphold human rights and dignity for everyone, we're going to pretty much have a conversation, because we want to be assets and not liabilities. So with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. It's one race, and that's the human race. And there's no way a sane human will put a proposition on the ballot that will remove all rules for marriage, opening the door to child marriages, incest, and polygamy. And it changes the California's constitution, even though same-sex marriage is already legal. That's crazy. And then it has in captions by making moms and dads optional, meaning you can marry your mom and your daddy. This is demonic. This is the book of Leviticus. It seems like we're being taunted right in our face. So this is why we got to make an educated decision and make sure that the Democrats disappear forever and they get up out of here. So it is what it is. So with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. So if you didn't hit the like, hit the notification, because we're going to be going up on a daily basis now because we're getting too close to election. And this great country is a beautiful country, and the people are going to have to save it because the Democrats are trying to destroy it. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing night. This is your man, Bushan Glover, Better Black America TV. Peace out.